What is going on, all of you GGs out there in the world? I am MegaAmpster. Thank you for clicking on this quick little YouTube video. If you're new here, hey, welcome to the channel. Returning viewers, always great to see you here. I knew I had to make one of these videos. I've done a few of these this past year, and I've enjoyed making them. Hope you have as well. Definitely wanted to make one for this game coming out. I knew when I made this concept back when I started for Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe back in February, wanted to do one for this game coming out. This game being Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, which is coming out as of this recording in just a week, so very, very soon. And because of that, wanted to give you maybe 5 reasons why you might want to pay attention to this one and maybe consider purchasing it. So let's just jump right into it here. Number one is kind of the main reason this game exists, right? This game is a spiritual successor to the Jet Set Radio series of games. There's only really been, what, 2 games? There's a port to Game Boy Advance. Supposedly there might be a remake that Sega's working on coming out, but anyways, if you don't know, Jet Set Radio is kind of originated as a game on the Dreamcast, or known as Jet Grind Radio in other regions, where, you know, the whole point is you're kind of going around the city area. You play as kind of these punk kids who are going around, roller skating around, spraying graffiti everywhere. It's a very arcadey game. You get different points and stuff based on how much graffiti you do. And they're usually story chapters, so you have to go through and spray some graffiti, a certain amount in order to beat the chapter. You unlock new characters and new levels and areas to go through. There's like final bosses. So it's a really unique game, and the skating mechanics are really, really fun. Just spraying graffiti, and it's such a vibe. So the fact that we're getting, you know, in an era where we get a lot of spiritual successors, we also do get a lot of remasters, but there are still a lot of franchises like Jet Set Radio that don't get a lot of remasters or remakes. And spiritual successors are kind of the next best thing, and I mean, this one looks like a perfect follow-up to Jet Set Radio. The developers for this game, Team Reptile, they actually worked on the Lethal League games, and if any of you have played Lethal League Blaze, there's actually a character in that game. I believe her name is Jet, and she's pretty much like a character straight out of Jet Set Radio. And clearly those games took heavy inspiration thematically from Jet Set Radio. And so, yeah, I mean, this is like the next step for them, is to really work on a game that's in that same spirit, and it's great to see. So, hey, if you're a fan of Jet Set Radio games, feel free to give this one a shot, because it's looking like it's going to be that faithful follow-up to the original franchise. So, number 1, Legacy. These are not ordered, by the way, they're just whatever. Number 2, of course, we got to talk about the visual presentation here, because, I mean, this looks more akin to the first game's art style. Jet Set Radio Future kind of, I don't know, it was still cel-shaded, but I feel like it cleaned it up a little bit. Whereas this kind of has that blocky look of the original, which is definitely a style to pick. And honestly, like, I think it works out in its favor. Like, this game looks great. When they first revealed this, like, what, a little over 2 years ago, you know, it just, like, it struck me as like, oh yeah, this is how I personally remember Jet Set Radio. And Jet Set Radio is one of those games, I think, that a lot of people will think of when they first think of, assuming they know the franchise. It's one of those like staple cel-shaded, very heavy stylized games, you know? And Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, I mean, it's literally just picking up right where that left off. Let's switch to another trailer here. It's picking up where Jet Set Radio left off, with the same exact vibe, you know, in terms of the art style. The graffiti looks great. Some of these trailers don't necessarily give it off super well, but there was a trailer. Which one is it? Is it this one? I think it's the gameplay trailer, where this looks like a full, smooth 60 frames to me. However, part of me's wondering if those other trailers, they looked more like 30 frames. I'm not sure if that's going to be the Switch version or what, but this is 60 frames footage, so maybe on PC or when it comes to PS5 or Xbox it'll run in 60. Not fully sure what's going on there, but honestly, like, this is one of those games where even if it runs in 30 frames, I don't think that's a big deal in the slightest. Not that it's ever a huge deal, but especially a game like this where it's so heavily stylized that it doesn't really need to be fully 60 frames. You know what I mean? Personally, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But I mean, like, look at this game in motion. It looks amazing. The graffiti looks great. It's so colorful. That's what made Jet Set Radio great. It's super colorful and smooth. The environments are very varied. So visual presentation, I mean, you can't talk about this game or Jet Set Radio without talking about the visuals here, because it just, to me, at least, it looks super striking. I love the color palettes going on here. Looks great visually. So that is number 2. Number 3, kind of also related to the presentation, you're listening to it now, is the music. Now, Jet Set Radio is known for its very, like, funky soundtrack. Hideki Naganuma, one of the main composers for that game, as well as shout out to Richard Jacques, because he did a lot of great music too, and he's also worked on the Sonic franchise. So is Hideki Naganuma, and they kind of just fit hand in hand. This music they are bringing back Hideki Naganuma-san. The composer is coming back for this game, so he's doing at least 2 tracks. This one you're listening to called Jack Da Funk, and then the other one called Get Enough, which is played in one of the earlier trailers. So he is coming back to compose brand new, unique tracks for this game. I believe Jack Da Funk's already on like streaming, so you can go listen to those if you're interested. But there's plenty of other artists that are going to be making different music for this game. And like I said, Jet Set Radio is known for its music, and we've heard some of the other music besides Hideki Naganuma's compositions for this game, and it sounds really great, captures the vibe perfectly of Jet Set Radio. It's not a style that fits everybody, but if you're into that style, you know, if you're curious, because this game comes out in a week or so, go listen to the Jet Set Radio or future soundtracks and see what you think, or any of Hideki Naganuma's previous compositions, because that is the vibe that this game is also giving off, and I cannot be more stoked. I hope they release the full soundtrack on streaming. Besides, I mean, even if it's just Naganuma's compositions, I'd be fine with that too. But feel free also, Lethal League Blaze's soundtrack. I haven't heard the first game, but Blaze's soundtrack's also a similar vibe. Kind of like I mentioned how that game is a similar vibe to Jet Set Radio earlier, and the soundtrack definitely is as well. So give that a shot if you're interested. The other really cool thing, I don't know, it's probably in one of these trailers somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here. So there is a music player in the game, which you can see there's 7 choices here. There's the Hideki Naganuma one I talked about, and then whatever this Spectres is by Rezo. I think I tried listening to that. It is on streaming, and it's actually not bad too. I'm biased towards Naganuma-san's work, but the fact that there's a music player and there's also like email and stuff like that, I'll be curious to see how in-depth the phone mechanic goes. But at least the music player, I mean, that's nuts. Like, you'll be able to choose your own tracks and stuff. You couldn't even do that in Jet Set Radio from what I remember. Correct me, fans, if I'm wrong on that. But like, the music is such a key component of Jet Set Radio, and they are persisting that through into this game. The soundtrack we've heard so far sounds great. Really pulling for 2 Mellow to have a track in here, because a lot of 2 Mellow's tracks are heavily inspired by Jet Set Radio as well. Whether it's an old track or a new composition, really hoping at least 1 track gets in there. That'd be sick. But with that, number 3 reason, a big reason though, if you're really into this kind of music, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk's got you covered. But number 4, I want to talk about the gameplay, right? We don't see it much. There's a specific trailer. I don't think I was able to find it, but there is a specific trailer, unless it's this one. No. They kind of show it off in this one a little bit. So with the gameplay, right? Jet Set Radio has always been focused on rollerblading, whereas this game is not just blading, right? I don't even know if there is rollerblading. It might just be soap shoes that they're using. I don't know if they just use rollerblading, but you can see here, we also have BMX bikes. We do have rollerblades, there we go. We have the soap shoes that I think you don't even need the blades. And then we have skateboards. So not only are you getting like the typical Jet Set Radio kind of skating vibe, you're also getting like Tony Hawk and Dave Mirra BMX. And if any of you out there, you know, played those kinds of games growing up, like, you'll know how fun that feels. So to be able to have those options, that's a game changer completely. And you can also see, I think they showed off here, yeah, there's like a trick system too, straight out of Tony Hawk. So yeah, you could argue maybe it's copying a little bit from Tony Hawk. I call it inspiration. I mean, this game is just like, the fact that this has that vibe. I've always wanted to get more into Tony Hawk, and one thing that stopped me was it was a little too competitive for me personally. I always liked the single players more, but I didn't play a lot of it. Whereas this game is seemingly going to be single player focused, right? I don't even know if there's online. I don't know if they've confirmed it. I'm guessing not, just to keep expectations a little lower there. But like, the trick system from Tony Hawk, you get bikes, skateboards, rollerblades, and just, I think, soap shoes. We see them using some of those in the earlier trailers here. We actually go back here, you can see them just kind of not even, yeah, just like rolling around. He's got like a jetpack or something. So like the traversal options are going to be nuts in this game, even way more than typical Jet Set Radio. So that's awesome. I think that's going to make this game especially stand out from something like Jet Set Radio. Look, you're just grinding with the shoes on. So that'll be really cool. Hey, someone out there, mod the SA2 soap shoes into this game. Come on. All right. That's the number 4 reason. Quickly, number 5 that I want to talk about is very interesting because it's not really something we see in these kinds of games. Like I said earlier, this is a very arcadey game. And this game honestly seems like it's going to have more of a focus on the story. We see some of it in the most recent special trailer they added, but where's the story trailer? Oh well, anyways, there was a story trailer, but you can get kind of some vibes based on this one. It's seemingly going to be more involved. The Jet Set Radio games never had the in-depth of the story. I won't spoil anything, but pretty much the concept of the first 2 games is you're kind of like, you know, you're taking out rival gangs, you are avoiding the police as well, and like the final boss kind of involves you taking on some big corporations, right? That's just the vibe these games give off. And like, they're mostly just for the sake of progression. They never go super in depth, but like some of these cutscenes, like Jet Set Radio is not known to be super cutscene heavy, and there's a lot of dialogue going on here. So that makes me think that this story, while it's a brand new universe, a new IP, you know, like who's to say? We don't really have a lot of expectation for it. The fact that there is seemingly more in-depth story than you would expect from a game like this, that has me interested. You know, I'm curious to see if we can connect to these characters. Like, we see this main character who's kind of like the beat of the game with the kind of the red kind of mask thing going on, and then we see the dude in all of like the white cloak and the white mask, who seemingly might be the main antagonist of the game, is what I'm at least guessing from this. So it could be a similar setup to something where they're part of some corporation, leading some corporation. We can see there are rival gangs here, of course, so it could be a similar situation as the other Jet Set Radio games, but like this guy right here, probably main antagonist. It's possible we get more in-depth story here, which could be cool. You know, I would love to connect with these characters even more than you do with like Beat, Gum, you know, all those characters in the Jet Set Radio games, you know, so we'll see. And also they're teasing this character, so I think we've seen her before though, so I don't know why they're really teasing her necessarily, but she is there. But with that, I mean, that's kind of the 5 reasons. Want to keep this short. Not much else to say there, but yeah, I mean, big thing for this is if you're a fan of Jet Set Radio, you're probably going to be a fan of this game, so I'm sure this is already on your radar if you are, but the legacy's there. The visual presentation is there. I mean, it just looks so colorful and smooth in motion. The music, of course, you're hearing it right now. It's going to be peak. It's going to be great. It's going to be funky, fresh as hell. And then, of course, the different gameplay elements is going to be super cool. That'll kind of elevate it beyond Jet Set Radio, I think, typically. And then there's potential, like some of these scenes, there's potential for a more in-depth story. Maybe don't expect anything crazy in-depth, but at least more so compared to the Jet Set Radio games. And I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, this is an indie game. You know, you're supporting indies by buying this game. I highly doubt this is going to be a full $60 game, especially considering Team Reptile. I don't know if they've ever put out full price games like that. Even if it is, I mean, I'm buying it, of course, because I'm committed to buying this game. I don't take my word on it, but I don't think it will be. I'm guessing it'll be like 30 or 40. Even 40 might be on the high side. We'll see. If they come in with 20, I swear I will like buy 2 copies, but like, because they deserve more than that. But like, I was checking because it comes out on Steam and Switch next Friday, August 18th. It comes out on, I believe, PlayStation 5 and Xbox. I believe Series X. I don't think it's last gen. Could be wrong. Double check me on that. But that'll be coming out in September. I believe early September. So Steam and Switch first. I'm leaning more towards getting it on my on Steam and setting it up on my Steam Deck. We'll have to see if it's verified. I don't have those details. They have the Steam page up. No pricing, no details on Steam Deck verification. And the Switch eShop page isn't even up, which is kind of annoying. So you can't preload it and buy it. It's probably just going to drop on the day of, maybe a day before, we'll see. But either way, I'm looking forward to it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you know you were already new to this game, you're a Jet Set Radio fan, or maybe you're just tuned into this game and you're looking forward to buying it, or hey, maybe if this is your first time hearing about it, let me know what your thoughts are from what I presented here. Otherwise, hey, I will catch you all in the next video live stream. Stay away from the Rokaku group. They are out to get you. They will not stop until you're captured. All right, see you next time.